I'm trying to get better at setting realistic boundaries as a sub to my wife. I've noticed there are a few areas where it can be hard to make decisions together. A short list of friction points where it's hard to make progress and they pop up every few weeks or months when we're in equal mode. I think I need a boundary so that she does not try to make a decision in these areas while I'm in submissive mode, which can sometimes be for a half of the day or so. One issue is making travel or logistics plans, which are sometimes complex, limit our time at home, and I do find stressful. I get very uncomfortable trying to make or agree to those decisions while I'm in sub mode, very understandably so. However, if we have made decisions in these areas out of a scene in equal mode, then it seems okay for her to prioritize tasks for me to accomplish them. So, my boundary insight is no decision should be pushed in DS mode for a list of stressful areas, but if they get decided in equal mode, tasking me to get them done in DS mode seems fine. Does this make sense? Do you have recommendations or principles around things like this? Yes, makes sense. And I do have principles around things like this. And of course, you guys feel free to share your thoughts and your feedback. If you can relate to this question in any way, shape, or form, you need to check out my bundle on Patreon. This is why the whole power exchange agreement for newbies is so crucial, so important. Because one of the things I say is you need to know the cue. You need to know the cue, the switch point, the transition point, whatever you want to call it, you need to know the cue. I think your premise is sound that if it's a high-end cerebral task, don't work it out in your marriage when you're trying to be in subspace. That's very understandable. But you're talking about equal mode versus submissive mode versus stressful areas. How will those be indicated? And here's what makes this tricky. The dominant in this situation, she prefers spontaneous things. She doesn't prefer to plan and set a schedule for herself. She prefers to just let her domination kind of free flow. I know that because these are my clients. I work with them. This couple also does not want to default to DS 24/7. So we want it sprinkled. We want the option for it to be sprinkled 24/7, but we don't want to commit to it 24/7. And yet we still want it spontaneous enough, but we want clear cues that are predictable. So what would be the cue then? If she doesn't want to cue you that she's in dominant mode, what would cue her that you're in submissive mode? This might be as simple, Rex, as just a little bit more self-advocacy and communication, where you're in submissive mode, you're doing a shift, whatever, and she's in planning mode, which can feel very dominant, right? So the lines can be blurred for her, I think, in a way that are not as easily blurred for you. So you're in submissive mode, you're doing a shift, the lines are kind of blurred for her. She's in kind of cerebral dominant mode, and she starts talking about planning this trip. And she's like, okay, I want you, and she starts tasking you with, let's talk about this trip, let's plan this trip. That is a time for you then, Rex, to be self-aware and to advocate. And I think you need a safe word. I think you need some sort of cue that says, I'm still in submissive mode right now. When I clock out of this shift, then we can talk about it. Kind of thing. I think she's going to need a reminder because I know that you aren't a reminder slash cue, because I know that there are a lot of times that you could be feeling submissive when you're not in your uniform. You could be feeling submissive when she has not cued you for a specific shift. Because I know that you do want more of those organic sprinkled moments, right? So if that happens, it's your responsibility to put it on her radar, go, no, we're in DS mode right now. We need to wait to talk about this until we're in equal mode. I know it's not ideal. But if you can help her kind of put that on her radar, it's gonna ding you. Like if you're at like a level 8, you're gonna go up a couple notches. You're not going to be as deep in subspace. You're going to go up a couple notches, but you can get yourself back down there. But if you quickly just go, hey, not the time. Or if you have a cue word that she knows, this one cue word, different than porch time, different than safe word, a cue word that has a whole meaning wrapped up in it, something outlandish, something very clear that it's like, this is not a safe word. This is not a slow word. We're not even cueing for porch time. We have a whole meaning wrapped up in this one word. And that meaning is, hey, you're trying to talk about something that we need to address as equals when we have our power dynamic going on. This conversation needs to wait until we're back in equal mode. And you guys need to have that discussion, agree on a word, attach the meaning to the word, and start using that word. I would say that. I would say, as another strategy, make a list of the stressful things that are off limits in DS. And then the third one, what is the cue that you are in submissive mode?